Wingtip.
Good afternoon. It is April 24th, 2019. You're listening to a little column A, little column B, hosted by William Nelson, co-hosted by Zach Bishop. How you doing today, buddy?
Happy Easter, Will. We actually have a follow-up today. We got a follow-up. It's Easter. Lent is over. Our buddy Dell Hall from Ohio, who decided he was going to drink beer for all of Lent, and that's it. Done. He did it. The whole stretch of Lent. Lost 41 pounds.
41 pounds. That doesn't sound healthy. I mean, was he a big guy to begin with, or?
There's no specifics. I think you have to be. He's definitely not a small man, but he's smaller than he was a few or 6 weeks ago. But said he feels great. Said that he kind of does these challenges all the time. This thing wasn't completely new to him of trying to do something wacky. Even thought initially that he was just gonna do water. Said he thinks it's really helping him with his attachment to food and hunger. Of your stomach's rumbling, and a lot of times it's not really because you're hungry. You're really just thirsty or you're just bored, and feels like a young guy. And he's easing himself back onto regular food. He's just kind of starting with some stews, and he said he'll go to vegetables before he goes to meat. So he's not jumping right back into it. But that seems like a lot.
What about his beer consumption? Does he just go cold turkey from here? Because that sounds just as dangerous.
I don't think you can. I think you have to. You gotta
lean
yourself off of that as well. He does work for a brewery, so I think he probably gets a healthy supply of beer. But I just don't know. I don't know how you go that long without eating anything. I just assumed that you couldn't go that long.
It doesn't sound enjoyable.
I understand that he lost a bunch of weight, so I don't know if body just kind of eats its collective stores or how exactly that works. But I would figure for sure you just wouldn't have any energy. But he's got all good things to say. Says that feels like a lot of the inflammation from his body is gone. He's really got no negative things to say. So I don't know if he's almost his own captive of, well, I went through this, so I better say that that it was worth it. But
it sounds ridiculous. I mean, is this the new diet? Is this 2019 the beer only diet? You want to lose weight? This is how you go about it. It doesn't sound enjoyable at all, though. I mean, especially on an empty stomach, there's nothing good about beer, especially if you're relying on that your only source of anything being consumed. I think this sounds like it would ruin beer for me. This doesn't sound good. I kind of have a mixed feeling about it. I don't know if I'm rooting for him or if I'm rooting against him. I don't really know what side I fall on. I mean, in one perspective, the guy had a goal, he accomplished it. So, bravo for that. On another thought, I mean, the guy had nothing but beer for 40 days straight. That sounds just wildly unhealthy. I would recommend that to nobody. But maybe he's superhuman. Maybe he's the new superhero. Maybe this is what with 2019. He's the new Marvel character. Maybe this is the new guy right here. We have so many superhero movies, and why don't we just transition right into that right now? The Endgame, the latest Marvel Avengers, I think comes to theaters everywhere tomorrow or Friday. Anyway, is this week?
Probably a little bit of both.
Anyways, it's this week. I think it's already released in some select theaters as of yesterday. Rotten Tomatoes score came out. Looks like it's certified fresh. Not only that, it looked like a 98%, which might be the highest Marvel movie that I can think of right now for Rotten Tomatoes. Still early. We're going to get a lot more reviews to come in. Are you going to go see it this weekend? Are you holding off? Are you even caught up?
I am caught up. I watched Captain Marvel earlier or Sunday. So that was the last one. Not too long ago, I went through and watched everything Marvel in chronological order, including the TV shows. I really dove all the way in, so all the way caught up. I don't know if I'll see it this weekend, but I'm gonna try to see it within the next 2 weeks, just because the spoilers come out pretty quick, and if it's kind of on you if you don't go see it right away. So if an opportunity comes up, I'll go see it, but I don't know for sure if I'll get to it this weekend.
It sounds like from at least from what I read online. And of course, they're going to do a good job of making this public, and this is kind of the way you advertise for it. But it looks like it exceeded, or if not met, most of the expectations for a lot of people. I mean, the build-up for this is his end game. I don't know really what happens after here, but I think everyone's expecting this one to be a really, really big movie event for this Marvel universe that has grown into this just giant, just movie-dominating force at this point. Are you worried about it disappointing you at all? Like, I mean, how high are your expectations for this movie?
I don't think I'll be disappointed. I have above average expectations. I think that it's all the Marvel movies. I guess their floor is super high. You'd never really go in and walk away with, ooh, that was awful. It's just a matter of how much you enjoyed it, what jokes you liked. It's really hard for them to cram all of these characters into these ensemble movies. And I think they've been doing a pretty good job of trying to get the interactions correct and still move the story along. I mean, the last one ended on a cliffhanger, so finding out, hey, what happens from here? I'm definitely interested in finding that out. It sounds like it's a super long movie. I think it's 3 hours plus. So if you're going, prepare accordingly.
It's 3 hours and 1 minute.
Do you have any predictions for what's going to happen?
You know, I really don't. I don't. I mean, I feel like obviously everything is going to work its way out because it's a superhero movie that's kind of how this goes. So I'm not worried about anything. I do feel like there will be a loss. It sounds like some of these actors are going to be moving on from their characters, and I'm not sure how they're going to do that. So I'm kind of excited to see how they do that, and I think I'm definitely a stickler for, I guess, series endings, and it kind of feels like this is a series end, as if it was like a TV show for some of these characters. So the way they do that,
more of a season than yeah. Like this is the end of a season, and getting it right. I agree with that.
So I think I'm going to be very judgmental on how they do that. If they do that with good taste, I don't really see how I won't like the movie. Obviously, it'll be action-packed with a variety of actors and characters and all the people we've loved in all the movies that have led up to this. I imagine are going to have some sort of role of that. So I'm excited for that. But the way they, I guess, essentially send off some of these people is gonna weigh in on how I feel. I'm not sure if I have any other expectations other than that. I don't really know how it goes. The other thing with Thanos is he's not. It's just him. He's just a one guy. He's a one superhero villain. It's not like he has really followings or he just has control over everything, from my understanding. But it's not like a huge culture shock. It's just one guy. It's not like he has this giant group of people that are all enemies. It's just him. So I think it's an interesting kind of bad guy feel of just being a single-handed person taking on everybody else who we viewed as so dominant and superhuman. So we'll see where it goes. I don't know if they're going to introduce how much the new people are going to have into it. It sounds like Captain Marvel should have a pretty big role. I don't know if they're going to make her just incredibly strong because she's the newest one. I don't know who the strongest Avenger is going to be. I would say that's another thing I'm looking forward to see who's really going to shine, who are they going to rely on the most. It kind of feels like always somebody shines a little bit more in one movie than another. I don't know which character it's going to be this time. So I'm excited for it. I guess I have very high expectations as well. I'm going to try and see it as soon as possible. I do have some family visiting this weekend, so I don't know if this will be the perfect weekend for it. So I'm just gonna hide from the internet for a couple days. I think I'll be all right, which is almost impossible at this point.
It really is. I've been seeing a bunch of stuff on Twitter. Sunday night with you have NBA playoffs, you have NHL playoffs, and you have big Game of Thrones, and so you have the two different sides, and it's hey, everyone likes all of these things, but you have the oh well, I gotta watch Game of Thrones live, and I'll just switch into the sports later. And the other people that are like, are you kidding me? Like, that's a TV show. This is live. You have to watch the sports now and go find that later. And them arguing with each other about different spoilers. It's like if things are getting spoiled in real time, you really have to hide from the internet until you see it, or otherwise you run your own risk of finding things out early.
I think in the past we talked about a movie marathon. If somebody, I think it's somebody on Reddit or something, they took essentially every important part of every Marvel movie and maybe even TV show, and got rid of all the stuff you don't need and compacted it all into like a 12-hour movie where it's all one movie and they just jump from movie to movie going straight through and basically telling you everything you need to know to get to the very end. Uh, i- does that strike any interest in you? Is that something like if you just recently went through everything, would you opt for that
Well,
option if you
could
wanted to go through it again?
I will I will see your 12-hour Supercut movie, and I will raise you all 59 movies in a row as a marathon at select theaters. It's got to be starting now or yesterday probably to get ready for the premiere of Endgame. Said there's like some time in between the movies, but it's really only like 10 minutes, and I guess I got a little bit of a longer time just so staff can get in and clean out the different locker or not locker rooms. Probably gonna smell like a locker
Yeah,
room.
bro.
Uh, but it's 59 hours, so it's over 2 full days.
Man, that's a long
And
time.
uh, d- does that interest you at all?
No, no, that sounds awful. That sounds like punishment. That sounds like being forced to drink nothing but beer for 40 days. That's
I was kind of thinking. I didn't think of the beer metaphor so much, but I was thinking of more along the lines of cake. Of ooh, would you like a nice slice of cake? Yeah, that sounds good. Some nice chocolate cake, chocolate frosting. That sounds good. And then it's, well, how about another piece? Well, maybe I guess I could do another piece. And then it's like, how about the whole cake? You have to eat all of it all at once. Nope, you can't wait a day.
is
You
this
have to
the
eat all of it. And just at first it's like, ooh, this is good, and then it just hits. It's just like, this was a terrible idea. This is the worst.
is this the Matilda
Uh,
scene right now? Is
the some of they interviewed some of the guys that were going, and some of them had plans to like fully expected to be able to stay up for all of it. Like was like I'm gonna get a bunch of sleep beforehand. I'm gonna walk around when I need to. I'm gonna have Red Bull for like the final 12 hours if I need it. Like all prepared for it. Other people strategically were placing out. Like I didn't like one of the Thors so much, so I'm not gonna. That'll be like a nap time. Then there was like one of the newer ones. It's like I saw that pretty recently. Maybe it was Captain Marvel. Like I just saw that a few weeks ago, so I think that'll be another nap one. So interesting to see people's different strategies, but there's no way I could stay up for that long without sleeping.
you know what's fascinating to me is I imagine the people that are going to do this are already super fans. Like they're, I'll say, the next echelon of fandom, and they've probably already seen these movies the more than any other person. So is that even the right? Like who's going to this? Do you think it's those type
Well,
of people, or do you think
yeah,
it's newer people trying to catch up into
no,
everything? It's mostly
no way
super
it's newer
fans, right?
people. It's got to be super fans because it wasn't cheap. It came out. It was like $120, I want to say. So it was not a cheap ticket. I mean, it's over 2 full days. So by hour, you're probably you're not going over the top spending wise. But yeah, these are for sure not people casual like, hey, what's going on? These are super hardcore. It's only at a few theaters, but more my part of what you're saying of, hey, these are super fans, they've probably seen this before, is rather than go to a theater and you're sort of comfortable like for like a normal movie, but now you're doing this for a long time. Why not just do this at your house? You could get all of them except for Captain Marvel, whether it's on DVD or streaming or on some sort of online service, whether pay-per-view, something, and you just do it where you're comfortable. When you got to go to the bathroom, you just hit pause. It just seems like this is just way over the top, but probably makes sense that they're only doing this. It's like maybe I think it was two of them were in New York, one was in Chicago, maybe it was one is in LA. So huge metropolitan areas.
Oh, I know what next year's bet consequence is going to be now. You got to watch it straight. All what is 59 hours, right?
How would you even one? How would that be tracked? And what happens if you fall asleep?
I don't know. We have we have like a designated slapper there or something. I don't know. It's like a slap bet and a movie consequence loss.
Do you
Um,
realize how long 59 hours
oh,
is?
it's
That's
impossible.
that's the
You know what?
that's your whole weekend.
That's yeah. That's that's more than
That's
my whole
you start it
weekend.
when you get out of work on Friday, and then it ends when you have to go to work on Monday.
You know what really I think is funny about this whole entire thing is the newest one, Endgame, that we just talked about, is the longest one of all of them at 3 hours and 1 minute. So even after
That
59, it's not
that
even like you get
that was
bailed out with
another
it.
thing that some I saw in the comments that mentioned was, oh, so you're gonna do this huge marathon, so then you're gonna be absolutely exhausted when you actually get to the new movie that you haven't seen.
Yeah, I don't think I could ever recommend it. Have you ever binge watched a movie series like that? Like, have you done the Harry Potters, the what else we got? Lord of the Rings. I don't think
It
I've ever
always
really
feels
done
like
that.
that was a real popular thing with my brother and sister for snow days. It was, oh, we got a whole day, and yeah, we like let's do a marathon, let's do a marathon, let's do a marathon. It always seems like halfway through the second movie, and definitely after the second movie, it's like, kind of bored of watching TV. Like, let's do something else. It always seems like, again, with the chocolate cake, it seems good at first. I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be awesome, and then you're just like, kind of got a headache and a stomach ache, and let's go do something else.
I is
So,
it
but definitely
is it just me, or
have
is it way easier
done
to
some of
binge a
the.
TV show though than the movies? The movies feel like such a commitment because you realize the time length of them all. Even the longest show is going to be an hour. You know, on average, the movie's going to be an hour and a half to 2 hours. There's
Yeah,
something
I've
about signing yourself up for
it's
that long that you self consciously feel like, do I really want to do this? Versus just putting on a TV show, you can get sucked in and waste just as much time.
I totally agree with that. It's just some weird mental thing where it's a movie. And it's like, that's 2 hours. I don't know if if I'm committed for 2 hours. But then I'll end up watching a TV show for 3 hours, and it's like I said, it's like a mental block. But it'll be the same or even more time. But it's just for whatever reason that it's just in more bite-sized chunks.
Well,
But silly.
as excited as I am for the movie, I think I'm even more excited for the NBA playoffs right now. What an awesome game yesterday after three duds of a game. And I imagine you didn't stay up for it. And if there was a game to stay up for, this would have been it. Uh, Damian Lillard goes off for 50 points, game winning shot from almost half court, and ends the series against the favored Oklahoma City Thunder right now. They were favored going in. I think we talked about that on the show. I think OKC was favored going into the matchup despite being a 3 seed versus a 6 seed.
Correct.
All right, so you woke up. You kind of saw the chaos. I was there for the live bit of it. What were your initial thoughts of watching these highlights? I mean, the guy goes for 34 in the first half and then just doesn't even stop. And right out of the gate of the second half, he hits like another half court three. And I'm exaggerating a little bit by the half court part, but by not by that much. Just a little. Like it's just as realistic to describe it as a half court shot as it is a 30-foot shot.
I I was pretty disappointed. I was pretty disappointed because there were two games that were on at a reasonable time for the East Coast, and both of them
Awful.
were blowouts.
Awful
And I
games.
saw a funny thing on Twitter this morning, where it was a meme, and it was Michael Scott from The Office, where he's just got that like angry look on his face. He's just shaking his head, all disappointed. And the caption was, "When you go to bed at 11 o'clock on the East Coast because all the games are blowouts, and then you wake up in the morning." He's like, "Wait, again?" Like it was last week, maybe a week and a half ago, when the Clippers made that crazy comeback that happened super late at night. Or there's another one of this game started so late I didn't even wasn't even in the realm of possibility. Like, couldn't this have been on Friday night or Saturday night? Then I would have been watching it. I would have been all on board with it. And there's just something that just not seeing it live. It's cool seeing the highlights, but you know what's gonna happen. And oh man, that shot was unreal. He still had I think he had 1.5, 2 seconds when he released the ball. So this wasn't
It went
a
straight
Hail
up
Mary.
though.
It was a step back of, this is what I'm gonna do. It wasn't like Paul George was in the lane or something. Paul George was his heels were 3 feet beyond the 3-point line, and Lillard is obviously even deeper than that, and still just pulls up. And it was a tie game too. It was so far away. They didn't need a three. I'm always more of a fan of driving it to the hoop, but phew, it was 5 for 5 from quote the logo this series.
All right, so I got some stats for that. So from the we'll say over 30 points, there's an average 3-point percentage for all the NBA players across the league right now. And on average, over 30 feet away, it's about I'd say 25%. Damian Lillard shoots I think 37% from over 30 feet, which I think leads the NBA and is especially just killing it in the playoffs so far. Paul George, the guy that was on him, his just any 3-pointer percentage is the same at 37%.
I was about to say that's got to be close to Paul George's just regular average,
which is a very, very exceptional 3-point percentage. I think any player in the NBA would be very happy with that. To have that same average from that far away and to shoot as many deep shots as he has, it's unreal. Now, I've watched the highlights over and over again, and I've seen every single media outlet talk about it at this point. Everyone says like Paul George let this happen as if he wasn't playing defense. I thought he played great defense. If he's any closer, you risk fouling. If you get any closer, he goes around you, and there's a ton of space because you're so far out.
It's a tie game. It's a tie game. He's super far away. Yeah, if you get any closer to him, he's also good at driving. It's not just the shooting, and if he gets past you, and then it turns into a 5-on-4, it easily opens up somebody open underneath the hoop. I don't know how Paul George plays that any differently.
I didn't really have much of a problem with it. He's longer than everyone's giving him credit for. He's a lot taller than Damian Lillard. I actually thought he did a good job contesting it. I mean, it was just a bomb of a shot. I mean, this shot goes straight up in the air. Like you said, he shot it with some time left. That's how much it traveled out of the screen. Like it just went super high and dropped in.
I saw a cool angle. It was from Dame's left-hand side, like at mid-court. So looking at him from the floor, and you see him shoot it, and it just stays focused on him. It doesn't focus on the shot, and it's funny seeing him shoot it, and you see the crowd, and the delay from him shooting it to the crowd reacting to him hitting it, because like you said, it's over 30 feet away, and how long it takes a basketball to travel in the air of that delay. Just unreal. And this is not the first time that Dame's done this. A series clinching buzzer beater. He hit that one over Chandler Parsons when I remember we were at your school. I remember we were at the bar. And I remember like not many people were paying attention, but you and I were paying attention because I remember us like hitting each other, going crazy afterwards. And just we weren't exactly in a sports bar, it was just like a college bar, and I think it was right around graduation, so not everyone was super focused. But I remember just being like, this is wild, because I'm pretty sure that was an upset as well in the series.
Yeah, I think I texted you last night at halftime when Dame had already had 34 points in the first half and was just hitting threes from everywhere. There was nothing he could do. He was driving. He was doing everything. And I messaged you and I said, I think Damian Lillard is the second best player in the league right now today. I don't know if I would draft him second overall, but right now the way he's playing, there's only one guy I would rather have over him, and that's Giannis. And I can't think of any other guy. And then the second half happened, and this is like, it was almost like he came to fruition. Like it all came together even more. He goes for 50, ends the series, kills the Thunder. I do think he had some help with a little bit of a collapse from the Thunder, but I think everyone's being very hard on them as well. I thought Oklahoma City played really well. I know you only saw the highlights, and I doubt they really showed any of OKC. It was probably mostly Dame. But go back and look at the numbers. Everyone kind of did their job. I feel like Grant had an okay game. I thought Adams had an okay game. I thought George and Russell Westbrook both had very, very good games. Like everyone on that team played good enough to win. I just think they weren't prepared to go against a guy scoring 50. And a couple of boneheaded mistakes at the end there, but that's going to happen. And it almost felt like this was going to happen regardless of what they did.
I think this was one of the best games they played in this series, and just sometimes no matter how good of the defense you play, if the guy on offense is just feeling it, you're just out of luck sometimes.
Dennis Schroeder played great too. He hit a bunch of threes, which is very unlike him. I mean, I think Dennis Schroeder on the floor doesn't hurt you, But if he's shooting threes, he's helping you a lot more than you would ever expect from him. You're getting an above average contribution from him when he's shooting well. So it was just mind boggling that it's felt like OKC did everything they could, gave their best punch. They're up, I think, 15 with 7 minutes to go. And you think, all right, they got it. They're done. This is what they're supposed to do. This is the OKC team everyone thought was going to show up. Everyone was scared to play with. Everyone thought that with Nurkic being out and with Cantor's shoulder not being 100%, they're going to get right back in the series. 7 minutes later of game time, and they're out. Their season's over, and it felt like they played the best they'd played all year, and they still lost. So that's got to raise a whole bunch of flags. I don't know how you fix this now. Is it even too soon to talk about that? I mean,
you can jump into it right away. I think a large part of it is that Paul George shoulder injury. There was a stretch midway through the season where it was always Harden and Giannis, but he was creeping up. Like, hey, people, like, pay attention. You see what he's doing? He's doing some things. Let's just keep an eye on it. But yeah, that shoulder's not right, and I think this is a prime, or not a prime opportunity. It's probably gonna be a textbook news dump later on this week that Paul George has been playing with a torn rotator cuff for the past 2 months or something, and it just kind of comes out to be like, oh, okay, he was really not hurt. He was gutting through it. He was playing for his team, and just kind of all those platitudes. But I don't think that they're completely just toast. You got Russell Westbrook and you got Paul George. You can put some players around them, and they'll be able to figure something out. They'll be competitive again next year.
Well, and one other stat I did see, I don't remember the numbers exactly, but I think the entire team on OKC took something like 55 shots and made, I want to say 55% of them or something like around that. Like they shot, the rest of the team shot almost the same as Westbrook shot, and they made half of their shots, and he only made like 33%, which isn't terrible either. But looking at it now, it's kind of like, well, should he have let some other people do some more things? But it's really hard to analyze that all now, especially with the game flow of it. It didn't feel like Westbrook was really doing anything wrong the entire game. But you know, that's just sometimes I don't know how they'd manage to do this. I don't know what it is about OKC and Russell Westbrook, but they seem to always put themselves in the situation of disappointment like this. And I don't know what they're doing wrong. I don't really know how to pinpoint exactly how to fix it either. And I don't know whose fault it is anymore. It's easy to blame Russ, but it's also easy to say without Russ doing that, maybe they're not in the game at all. So,
Russ and Paul George shot basically the same percentage from three. So there's just a lot of I think part of it is because Paul George was hurt, so normally he would shoot better, but a lot of it is just narrative, and I don't know. It's funny how players ebb and flow, and we kind of talked about the Tiger Woods stuff last week, where people love a comeback story, and I just wonder if we're definitely not at rock bottom, but just like the continual piling on of Russell Westbrook and all just the negative stuff that's getting said about him, and just pushing him down, and if it like, when does rock bottom hit, and then all of a sudden it kind of like turns around, and we're all gonna jump back on like, oh, Russell Westbrook, awesome, yeah, he's awesome, he's really good, he's super fun to watch, and he's exciting, and he's fast, and he's tough. And I just wonder when that will turn around.
Well, while we're on the topic of kind of gotten through an injury here, it looks like there's like this newfound respect for Blake Griffin, as if he was like this forgotten guy that was traded off to Detroit. And in some ways it's true, but I thought Blake Griffin had an incredible year. I'm not the biggest Blake Griffin fan. I'm immediately impressed by how he was able to develop his ball handling skills and a jump shot, let alone a 3-point shot. And he's really not this high flying dunker anymore. He's a very skilled, mobile forward at this point. And unfortunately, he had a bad knee injury just kind of right before the playoffs here. Maybe he was battling a little bit more at the end. But any newfound respect for Blake, or is Blake still kind of scale and rank in the same way he always has in your eyes? Are you more impressed or less impressed by anything, or does it not change anything for you?
I was surprised. I was listening to the announcers and following along on Twitter as I'm watching the game, and everybody was on board. And, oh man, you can tell he's really banged up, but he's really going out there. He's really gutting it. He's doing the best he can, and all this. And I get from his perspective of, hey, I'm on the team. I want to play. I want to see what we can do. But they lost the first two games, and then he doesn't play in, and then he tries to play, or he does play in game 3, and then subsequently in game 4 when he was doing this. But part of me was wondering, is it not getting brought up? Like, he's clearly not right. They already were down 3-0, so you're not going to come back and win the series. Is this smart? Is it smart for the coaches and the owner, the whole everybody else in charge to have him out there playing? He didn't look right.
It didn't look
And
right.
I was just surprised that no one mentioned it. It's like, hey, I get he's out there and he's laboring and gutting it out, and it's a tough move by him. But maybe somebody should have said, hey, you know what? This isn't our year. We're going to shut you down so nothing bad happens. And hey, start the rehab process.
I kind of agree. I thought it was good. I mean, it was exciting for Detroit to finally get back in the playoffs. I don't think a lot of people expected them to be there. And then once they'd got in, they just barely sneak in at the 8 seed right there. It kind of felt like, all right, we're in. We accomplished our goal for the season. Let's go out and make the most of this as possible. And then the injury kind of happens, and it was like, oh well, that immediately kind of goes out the window. There's no way we can really analyze anything anymore because we're not going to have our best player on the floor, and even if we do, he's not at 100%. So what are we really getting out of this anymore? It did feel kind of strange, but I almost feel like it felt like around the league and a lot of the announcers of all that were kind of talking as if this was Blake Griffin proving how tough he was, as if he wasn't kind of a tough guy before that. And I don't know if that's some of the Clipper weight that was kind of put on him. I don't know if the Chris Paul thing kind of blamed him as well. I don't really think it was anything that could be held against Blake Griffin. It was just very strange to me that it felt like all this newfound respect was coming out of this, as if we didn't already have any respect. I mean, he's an all-star before. It's not like he was some scrub guy that suddenly became this. So I just was kind of surprised by the attention it was getting. I mean, I applaud him. I'm all for it. If the guy can play and he wants to play, go for it. But you got to wonder if there's not an immediate announcement, like you were saying about Paul George, coming almost immediately right now about, yeah, Blake Griffin had a bunch of things wrong with him. He shouldn't have been out there. I mean, having the full bionic arm or bionic knee strap on there, like it's the Transformer thick plastic, like it doesn't
it was
bend.
an enormous brace.
Yeah, huge brace. That has to be an immediate sign that, hey, maybe we should go a different route here. But you know what? Anyways, best of luck for him. Should we talk about our favorite matchup coming forward right now? I mean, we didn't really touch on Celtics Bucks. I'll let you have your little Celtics minute right now. I don't want to spend the whole time on it. I think it's going to be a hell of a series. What are your expectations for that one?
I was surprised when the video came out of, it wasn't in the arena, but it was at a Bucks heavy area, and they were chanting, "We want Boston," which was a little odd because they're the number 1 seed. Usually it's the underdog cheering like, "Hey, it's like we want Bama." Like that's the chant. Like we want the best ones. And so it was a little interesting if that's kind of their mindset. It felt very little brother-esque, and I'm sure that video will make it. I'm thinking we don't do bulletin boards anymore. I don't know exactly how that works in a locker room, but whatever the virtual board is of that, the equivalent. Giannis, whew, every time I watch him, it just seems like he gets a little better and a little scarier. And I really liked when I asked you, hey, what do you think Brad Stevens has got lined up? And you said, don't worry about it. It's a long way off. It's like a Belichick bye week. That's really put me at ease of, hey, yeah, you know what? This game ended for us on Sunday. For sure, we were pretty positive we were going to have to play Milwaukee already. So he's already probably been thinking about this. But he's just had all sorts of time to just design some sort of defense. I mean, he had a defense that had Isaiah Thomas in it, and we basically just hid him. We played this, goofy zone, and we would just hide Isaiah Thomas in the corner. and was able to get it to work. And so if he can figure out something for that, you can't stop Giannis, but you probably can contain him with his not inability to shoot, but he's definitely not a prolific shooter.
I almost think we
They
go the other
definitely
way.
they're a little better than last year. There was definitely a lot of trash talk. It was definitely a fun series last year. Went to 7, and just interested in how much that carries over. I mean, that's where Scary Terry was born. The Drew Bledsoe comment. It was fun, and I just remember too that I felt like some of our defense on Giannis was with him in the break was just Aaron Baines and Semi Ojeleye, just like they just stuck their hands out and like their arms out like as far as they would go up in the air, almost like I don't know which kind of bear it is, but they say like just get really big. It seemed like that of just like let's just try to make it like we look bigger, even if we're not that big, and it seemed to work. It seemed like it was like, oh, okay, let's slow down here a little bit. But I'm excited. We still don't know when the series is going to start. I did a little more research today. Pretty sure that has to do with because the Bruins played a game 7 last night. They won, so they have to line up the two teams to make sure they're not playing on the same night in the same building. So I think that's why we haven't heard what day is game 1 for that, because that is going to be must-watch TV.
It's a lock for 7, right? If it doesn't go 7, it's a disappointment. I think we're all being cheated by really good quality basketball if this series doesn't go 7.
Well, speaking of that, a little more of the first round. Tonight is, so if you're listening to this, it's probably already passed, but it's the Warriors and the Clippers at the Warriors, so most likely going to be over tonight. And you have Utah at Houston, which is also a 3-1 at, so most likely to be over. We could only have possibly one game 6 in the first round.
It's shocking, right? Doesn't that
feel
feel shocking?
that, or?
I'm really, really shocked by it, especially after the first game. It felt like every underdog won. Like there were only 2 teams I think that took care of or like 3 teams that took care of business on game 1. That was Boston, Milwaukee, and Golden State. In Houston too, right? Or yeah, Houston too.
Yeah, Houston.
So out of what the 8 matchups, it felt like a lot of underdogs won the opening night, but then never won again. It was kind of a strange wake up call for I guess the favorites to suddenly kind of pull everything together. The only series that's going to be close right now is the San Antonio Denver series, which has been great so far, although that was a blowout last night. An impressive win for Denver. It's got to be challenging to go against Popovich, and then 2, it's really hard to blow out the Spurs. I think they're never really out of a game, and that's kind of what they do. They hang around and they just stick in games they shouldn't be in, and then at the end they got a shot, and somehow they're able to take advantage of that chance they get every time. But I was shocked by it, especially after these opening night, a bunch of underdogs winning, and then never really getting a chance to bounce back again. But the second round is probably going to fulfill everything you're looking forward to for basketball. I think we got some really good matchups, especially in the East right now. Philly, Toronto is going to be great. Boston, Milwaukee is going to be phenomenal. And then in the West, it's just going to be such a dogfight of talent as well. I think the East Coast teams, I feel like they know each other a little bit better than some of the West Coast teams will. Like there's an existing rivalry, I think, between Milwaukee and Boston. That's relatively new.
Oh yeah, because we played last year.
And then I think Toronto and Philly have such new guys that want to, kind of make a name for themselves in the playoffs, that they're both going to come out. Kawhi Leonard's going to come out swinging. Jimmy Butler's coming out swinging. I think Joel Embiid and Simmons need to prove that they aren't the players they were last year and that they really are for real. Same thing with Tobias Harris. I think he wants to have his hat in the ring and be considered with a lot of these great players. So I think a lot of guys on those teams have a lot to prove, so that'll be fun to watch for that. And then in the West, it's just it's almost like you're waiting in line to get your shot at the Warriors, even though you don't feel good about the shot, but you want the chance at it. You want a chance at the king. You want a chance at Goliath right now. So I'm excited to see how that kind of plays out. Who would you say the clear cut's favorite right now, or for the East and the West? I think it's an easy call with the Warriors being the top seed over there. But on the East, it gets
Yeah. Oh yeah.
interesting.
Warriors are still far and away the favorite.
On the East, it gets interesting though. I think we got the best coach in Brad Stevens on Boston. You got the best player probably on any of the teams in either conference with Giannis. I think from Milwaukee, Toronto has probably the most depth of any of the teams out there, and then Philly may not have the most depth, but of the starting, they may have the best starting lineup of any of them.
You got the best stars.
So very, very strangely balanced, and we'll see how good the value of each of those plays out. I like our chances though. I like Boston's chances. I actually think it would be a disappointment if we don't get there. Well, it also may just be an applause to Giannis taking the step because he made the step the whole year. It kind of feels due almost to a certain degree that this is what he goes through. But Jordan struggled against the Pistons, the Cavaliers were a little bit early on. Giannis, I don't know if he takes a step this year, though. It feels like he should, but I also feel like Boston's going to strategize for him, and he's going to be very reliant on everybody else. If I'm Boston and if I'm Brad, I'm actually not even focusing on Giannis. I'm focusing on everyone else. I don't let Bledsoe go off. I don't let Middleton go off. And I just hope that we can beat a single-handed Giannis team. We got to slow down. We got to slow down Lopez too. I hate to say it, but we can't let that guy shoot threes on us, all right? Which he's going to do.
It's good. I think it'll be forcing him to have to guard Horford because Al can guard him at the three, can guard him anywhere on the court, but I think that Lopez will struggle to guard Al. So I think that's going to be a matchup we're going to have to go to early and often to make him uncomfortable and force Milwaukee to get out of what they're comfortable in.
So who are your favorites in the East then?
I think I like in the notes. I put the Celtics are back. I think.
All right, so you're going with Boston.
That's who I'm going to go with. I think Brad's going to figure something out defensively. It seemed like there's a little Hayward spark. I know that the Indiana Pacers weren't any sort of world beaters without Oladipo, but it seems like this has been longer than just that series. There's been some end of the season, regular season. There's just something I think that back in the playoffs there's some confidence. Kyrie's definitely stepped it up there. It's just at least the things I'm hearing from the media and the podcast and everything, it's different than it was in the regular season where just stupid things were happening. It wasn't even basketball related. It was just basketball adjacent. And now it just seems like everyone's getting into line and it's not, I didn't really get my shots or I'm not getting my time. It's like, ooh, I'm Terry Rozier. My role on this team is to play like 12 minutes all out and don't take stupid shots. And just everyone's just like falling into place.
All right. I think
it could work.
How many games you got? You got 7. I'll take Boston in 7.
We're gonna win in 6.
Oh man, all right. Tom, you get an extra Tommy point then for that one.
No, because we don't have home court, so game 6 would be in Boston.
We're gonna win on the road. We're gonna win on the road. We're gonna have to win in 7.
Ooh,
it's gonna be hard. It's not gonna be easy. That's the only thing that concerns me about the Celtics. And when things go well, everything seems awesome. It's when we lose, dude. Like if we're gonna lose a game in this series. We're arguably gonna lose 3 games in this series. And it's after those that we start pointing fingers, we start panicking that I don't think we're as tightly held together. This is going to be the series that really tests that. I hope we do it, though. I expect us to do it. I expect Brad to hold everything together through a very up and down series through 7. I'm a little worried about opening night. I almost feel like that's kind of we got to win the first one. We got to steal one on the road. And I think we got to set the tone. I think we got to hope that Bledsoe doesn't play very well in the opening day, just to kind of just to shake his confidence a little bit. But either way, it's going to be a phenomenal series. I wouldn't be upset if we did lose. I think that's a very good team. I as well as they got the best player in the world right now. So I don't think that would be I wouldn't hit the panic button in Boston if we do end up losing to this. I think that Giannis is just that much better. But let's transition into something else here. How about we talk about some lives being saved? So am I reading this correctly? So a man calls an ambulance for a heart attack, He gets put in the ambulance. He's still having the heart attack. His heart is out of rhythm or whatever. They hit a pothole, and immediately he is saved from the heart attack. Am I reading that correctly?
Yes, yes, you're reading that correctly. I was having a heart attack. He's 59 years old. His heart rate's beating at 200 beats per minute, which is really not good. And he's on a 20-minute drive to the emergency room. While he's on the way, boom, hits a pothole. It like jump starts his heart and gets it back to a normal rhythm. Boom. I mean, it didn't for sure save his life, but it killed the heart attack, which, I mean, that was basically the problem. So, problem solved. And my question for you was, pretty sure out there in California, potholes are kind of more of a Northeast thing,
Oh
right?
no,
So,
no, they're
you got
not.
them.
They're very
That's
much a West
not a
Coast.
plow thing. Frost heaves. You got them everywhere. Okay, good. Because I want to make sure that you were protected as well. If you or somebody out there had a heart attack, that make sure to tell the driver to hit as many potholes as possible.
Right,
Wouldn't think so. Counterintuitive.
Just to clarify, it is very, very much a thing out in Southern California, and I imagine in most of California. And despite not really getting the weather all year, the one thing we don't do is we don't repair them like ever. Like we have roads from the '80s still. Like I don't think they've ever been touched up. And they slowly get to them. But there's a bunch of old roads that are regularly used all over. Tons of potholes everywhere. So it is very much still a thing out here. And it just has to. I don't think everyone really wanted to spend the money on that. And the money that is being spent to it is just slowly repairing it all. But it's not a top priority by any means. So we have plenty of road issues out here. I'm sure anybody to California can verify that for you. It wouldn't be just me. Another thing that I want is there anything else to that story? I mean that's pretty funny. I think that's an awesome story. I would not be reliant on a pothole to save me. I'm going to trust a lot more on the ambulance that is delivering me and the staff that is working there to kind of take care of business.
Just an interesting quirk of a story, and I thought people should know about it.
Super interesting, but yeah, I'm going to rely on that. Speaking of being less reliant, have you been keeping up to date on this big password hack on like some of the most top passwords that were verified and hacked and that a bunch of people are still using? Did you see the list?
I saw the list that you sent me. It seems like every other day, it's coming out about a different financial institution or company that mishandled your data, and it's kind of just like there's not a ton you can do. It feels like a little hopeless.
No.
Well,
there's
you use
plenty
my
of
credit card
You just don't choose these passwords. All right, you have sympathy for anybody who's still using the password 1234566 or QWERTY.
It was funny, that list that you sent me, that the top 10, I think at least 4 of them were some variation of just numerical numbers of 1, 2, 3, 4. I think like 6 to 8 and to 9 or something were all on there.
So do you have any sympathy for people that are using passwords like that?
I mean, I think you're putting it as someone that's our age, that's grown up with, just has been hammered into you, like you gotta have good passwords. Like you can't have this as a password. But I'm thinking if you're, an older person, that this whole cybersecurity and having to have a password is kind of new, and your main goal is just, I need to remember my password. I think I'm gonna give them some slack, because what were these passwords to?
It doesn't matter. All right, your password should be something other than counting numbers, and it should be something other than the actual word password.
But I think it matters, because if this is your financial information, if this is your banking information, that's real bad. You got to fix that. But if this is your ESPN.com, for fantasy, and it's super easy, then it's just your fantasy stuff. It's basically just to make sure that it's not willy-nilly, and it's just kind of more of a, hey, is that you kind of deal. And yeah, then if your password's just 1 through 8, I'm fine with that.
All right, you hear those, listeners? If you want to go get and check out Zach's Twitter, you can check it out at
Wicked Z-Man24.
And try the passwords 1234566 or password or QWERTY or 1234567 8.
Yeah,
or
actually, yeah. Go through the list. The weren't the numbers. Go through it and because that top 10 and let people
uh
know what the most popular ones are.
I mean the popular ones are really just like Cowboys one was one, and then the Blink 182 was another one that was just strangely popular. Password ABC 123, different variations of the numbers were really popular. Let's see.
I was surprised on the they weren't in the top 10, but I think it said they were just off the top 10. Monkey and Dragon.
Monkey and Dragon. Superman was a big one. If I just said one of your passwords, you may want to consider changing it. Just as a heads up. Monkey and Dragon, yeah, made surprise appearances in the top 20. And
Yeah, that one. Those two kind of seemed out of left field. Where the other ones, the ABC 123, the QWERTY,
yeah,
those made sense. The password, those I wasn't as surprised about.
plenty of users also used passwords as an opportunity to employ colorful array of swear language words. So that I thought was kind of funny. I don't know if I'd ever thought of remembering one of my passwords as a cuss word, but apparently that is another popular route for most people. But while we're on the topic of internet, make sure you go check out the website lcalcb.com. Check out all the old podcasts on there, as well as see about the about bio information about Zach. There's also going to be a bet consequence update. This latest March Madness, Zach and I made a bet, as we always do every year. I had the unfortunate consequence again of losing one more time, 3 in a row. That bet consequence is coming on Cinco de Cuatro. So May 4th, we'll be doing that. So check the website to see the latest and greatest, I don't even know, semi-pro impression of everyone's favorite basketball player, Jackie Moon. So stay up to date on that, and then check out Zach's Twitter, which we said earlier, and we'll say again is
Wicked Z-Man 24.
And lastly, check out Sold by Will for all your San Diego real estate needs. Lots of stuff on there. If you're in the market, you got some questions, feel free to reach out. Anything? We got about 10 minutes left here. Anything you want to close out with?
Before we move on from the passwords, maybe instead of just saying, "Hey, you got to change your password," maybe we give some suggestions.
Suggestions? It's very hard to give suggestions without essentially giving away your own.
Well, yeah, maybe you go first.
Yeah, that sounds like a trap.
Yeah, Will, tell everyone your favorite password.
My favorite password. Actually, my favorite password all right, so if it's an account I know I have to share with people, and you might even know this, the go-to share password for me is NBA123. I have no problem sharing that because it's not that anymore, but that was the go-to shared password. Which is essentially,
I don't remember what that was for, but I do remember that as it was not the ABC 123. It was a little off of that.
No,
but it was easy to remember.
It was specifically sports related to me.
And that's one of the ones where this wasn't, like I said, before, wasn't your banking information. It was hey, if someone got into this, I don't care.
Yeah, no.
Why would somebody be in here?
They'll be very disappointed. If that works for anything, which I doubt it will work for anything, you'll be very disappointed in whatever you gained access to. So just about a couple minutes left here. You know what? Let's talk about you know what? This is a funny story. I didn't have this written down at all, and you don't know anything about this. I got a haircut the other day. I don't really go out and get haircuts. I generally have my buddy do the haircut. So I go into the salon. And you know how they have all the chairs set up to one another, right? So I'm on one end, and there's one person right next to me, and then there's nobody else there. I don't know why the only two people working have the two right next to each other, but for whatever reason they do. So I'm getting a pretty high fade on my head, so they have me turned away from the mirror, and she keeps spinning me back and forth so she can see that the sides are even, right? So I'm not looking into the mirror. My back is to the mirror, and they keep turning me left and right to make sure the sides are even. Now, right next to me, the person also cutting someone else's hair is this tall other barber girl, and she's in super tall, super high, tight shorts. And she's tall, and the chair I'm in is kind of low, and they keep turning me back and forth, and I'm trying not to look, but there's nothing else to look at, and it's just very awkward. It just keeps happening. Meanwhile, this whole time, the person
And
cutting
when
my
you're getting your hair cut, you can't move your head.
no,
You have to
just,
look like where it is, because if you move your head, that's how they like mess up your hair. It's like you've got to look and like you can only like move your eyes so much.
so I'm I don't know. At the same time, I don't want to be like the weirdo with like his eyes closed as you're cutting my hair, like I'm falling asleep either. Like, and it just put me in the most awkward position of me just constantly not trying to look away, but then trying not to move. Then the person's trying to have a conversation with me, and I got like the buzzer in like my ear, and I'm like, what are you doing? What are you saying? Like I can't hear anything either. And I'm just kind of wondering, is this a I don't go get my hair cut very frequently. Like I said, I generally have a buddy kind of take care of me at home, and I'm happy with that. He does a very good job. But is this does this happen to many people, or is this just me and in my short lifestyle? Like, is this happening across universes or just mine?
Well, we're too much alike. We're both just not getting professional haircuts. But it's funny that you say that, because you were on a vacation, so there was a lot more pictures of you than normal, and I saw your haircut, and I figured it was your buddy that took the haircut, and it was just a little different from your normal haircut, and I was like, oh man, he's really getting a hold of this. I was gonna ask you if he was cutting other people's hair, really getting some practice in. So you know what, it makes sense that you went and got it professionally done, because you could definitely tell it was just there's a little extra flair to it than there normally was.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of extra flair in the process of it too. I'll say that. She had
Did you tip extra because you thought you felt uncomfortable?
No, well, that was the other thing. Is the other person isn't really looking at me at all. The person next to me, who I'm involuntarily staring at this point, has no idea either. And I'm kind of thinking to the person cutting my hair is like, is he looking at her ass like this entire time? And I don't know what to do. And I wasn't. I swear, I really wasn't. There was no intention of doing it.
This is such a Curb Your Enthusiasm, like Larry David moment, where it's just like you're overthinking it, and then like before you go, you end up like telling the one cutting your hair, like, I'm not looking at her ass, and like telling her like, I'm sorry, I wasn't doing it on purpose, and then you just you throw your money down and you get out of there. It's just super awkward for everybody.
I'm just
We're really
thinking,
like neither of them cared at all.
All right, well, the only thing that kind of like frustrated me is, like I said, there's a whole row of booths of like chairs that they could be at, and we were the only two next to each other out of a room that had like 12 other open chairs, and they're right next to each other. And I'm just thinking, like, why is she doing this right next to me? She could be at any of the other ones. She can move and do whatever, but so be it. But that was my my latest and greatest hair experience right now. I don't know if you have a
that folks has been a moment in the life of Will Limonos.
Oh God, I could tell. I should tell the Tinder story, but I don't know if that's a good time right now. I keep getting roped in. If you don't know me at all, and if you do know Zach at all, you know I'm not a very big Office fan, and The Office has become such this powerhouse of TV. It's almost like I'm going against anyone's religion at this point if I disagree with liking The Office. It's not my favorite show, and it just comes up so frequently on everyone's Tinder profile. I don't know why. I and I don't know whether to. I try to avoid it at all costs.
Popular show.
I try to avoid it at all costs. I don't want to share my opinion with anybody, whether it's they also dislike it or they love it. I just know I don't know enough about it to have a conversation. It's awful. I hate the Office is ruining my life, man. All right, it's ruining my dating life.
You gotta watch it again, so you're gonna understand the references. That'll help you.
No, I'm not watching it. I already know
It's on Netflix. It's really easy.
It's on Netflix for now. It's on Jeopardy. I don't know if they're gonna pay up for the Friends payment. Yeah, breaking news. I bet you didn't know that, huh? Everyone panic. Hit the panic button right now. I don't know if Netflix is gonna pony up for it.
You know how you called me and I didn't pick up the first time I had to call you back?
Yeah.
That was why. I literally have that article open. I didn't quite get through it. I just saw the headline, started to like get into it, and then it was like, all right, I gotta do the podcast. I'll get to this later.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. Panic on that.
If there's Office news, I'm normally on top of it because somebody will tell me right away.
Well, it's going away. You're never gonna be able to watch it again. It's canceled for real. They're not bringing it back. Christmas is over. God, I got
DVDs, man.
I have a That's What She Said soundbite too.
Trust me, they're just playing hardball. Like you said, it's a powerhouse right now. Everybody wants it. Like they could do it. It'll just be like Netflix, Hulu. it'll just be The Office, and you'll just pay like a monthly subscription just to have The Office. It'll be the only thing on the entire platform.
That's what she said.
Yeah, there you go. You got it. That's what she said soundbite. Well, anyways, thank you as always for listening. Make sure you tune in next week and stay up to date with our latest bet consequence coming up May 4th. You get to see Will dressed up as Jackie Moon participating in a pickup basketball game while handing out corn dogs. Corn dogs for everyone, Jackie. Corn dogs for everyone.
Corn dogs.
We'll be back.
Little column A, little column B.